Fucking, hey, is anybody out there?
There it is. We are now live on YouTube. And once again, for the second time today, we're live streaming for the first time. My name is correct. Your name is correct. So let me go ahead and say this week's episode of Cursed Earth Radio's Weekly Dredd is brought to you by our corporate sponsors at Bravado Luxury Mopads.
As Dwayne the Rock Johnson and Vin Diesel love them.
What's up, dark judges, desperados, and dudes in dick-shaped helmets? You're listening to Cursed Earth Radio's Weekly Dredd. And this is the second time this week that we've done the Weekly Dredd. But fuck it, it's the Weekly Dredd live. And if you're listening to this on a host such as Spotify, iTunes, or any of that other stuff, you're missing out, because apparently now we go live on YouTube at an indeterminate time every week.
It's totally random. I'm eating dinner.
Everybody's just turned off the podcast right now.
Oh, that's what did it, huh? So we're doing the fourth regen. There were too many regens this year. Cadet Dredd in Full Throttle, starring Vin Diesel and Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Scooter and Jinx, and a story that was very childlike and weird. Enemy Earth, when the Earth tries to kill us, which it probably should. Time Twisters, what happens when you time travel to be an influencer in ancient Egypt. And Strontium Doug, which reminded me of Wuthering Heights. And I'll explain that when we get there.
And of course, with you as always, I'm Heavy Metal Kid.
I'm Cool Johnny Cool, and you're listening to me eat homemade lasagna.
Explosion sound. Listen, the one thing that I'm missing from this whole deal is my ability to play our intro and also play sound effects. So
Also,
in our future, yes, we're going to be able to play our intro, play sound effects.
No, we're not.
Oh yeah, it's going to happen. Even if I have to play them over my cassette deck as we do this.
If this is how we run things now, every week is going to be, when are we doing it? It's never going to be a set time, and it's always just going to be plowing into it with reckless abandon.
That's true. It's going to be like a flash mob every week. You're going to have to post on the page like, hey, here in 5 minutes we're going live, so be ready.
A Facebook page that no one ever checks.
Well, they don't have a reason to check until today when we started going live with the All Ages Prog. Maybe this, Johnny, maybe this will be the thing that can bring some people around to reading the All Ages Prog, which is for the most part a struggle for a lot of readers, including us some weeks. But, up until, everything previously that we've read recently in the All Ages, we kind of dug. So the question is,
Doug the dog?
Will we like this prog? Will this All Ages prog break the mold for us and be one we don't like after all these wonderful successes in a row?
Well, let's get in. No fucking around. Let's get into it.
Well, before we get into it, we have to shout out the cover artist. Yeah?
Yeah, okay. All right, we're going to that. Ben Wilshire, a stalwart of the All Ages Prog. I always like the way that Ben renders the cadet uniforms.
Yeah, Ben Wilshire's great. His style fits the All Ages Prog perfect. Actually, as a matter of fact, I just feel like, I don't know if this is true or not, but I feel like it's always been Wilshire doing these covers, right? For the All Ages?
Definitely feels like, at least since we've been in.
Yeah, and I never have issue with the art in these things. It's like very appropriately all ages, but I mean, I can appreciate art that has this sort of vibe. That's why I like Pandora Perfect. I mean, I really appreciate the art of something like Teen Titans Go. So like I'm on board for some more basic single color art stuff, and I like how the artwork for Cadet Dredd was. But I have to say, this week I did not really give too much. I didn't care for Cadet Dredd this week. It didn't get me.
Even with Vin Diesel and The Rock?
I don't know what's up with that. They're idiots, and it's Vinny and Dwayne.
Dwayne. My big question coming out of this is, how much horsepower are the Lawmasters packing where they could drag a forward moving moped backwards?
Yeah, and also, what was the sort of goal or the lesson, or what was it that we were really supposed to come away with in this Prog? Because in this story, because I usually feel like at the end of the day, when we're done with an all ages Prog, sometimes we get just like a little tidbit of something that gives us, like a glimpse into what Rico or Dredd will become later. And this one just seemed to have a lot more of a sort of action-y mixed with some slapstick. I don't know. I think what I didn't like about this one was it just, I felt like when I came to the end of it, it felt more like something, this may be a little bit too far, but it felt like a Mad Magazine sort of deal.
Yeah, I mean, its whole impetus was a car chase, and it was just about Joe and Rico passing their Lawmaster test in the most Mega City one way possible.
Now, what did you think at the end? Maybe this is the glimpse that we were looking at for Rico, was like, you get to the end and they get to pass judgment on these guys, hand down the sentence. And Rico defers and says, let Joe do it. It was his plan. And are we seeing like a tiny bit of resentment? Are we seeing a little bit of Rico sort of, I don't know. What did you get from that, if anything?
I didn't read that deep into it. Honestly, what I got hung up on was the license plate on the front of the moped. I want to know if it meant anything. I was trying to divine what it meant. Do you know what it meant?
Yeah, no, you were not the only one, though, because when we got to that panel and it was like real prominently out there, this license plate, and I kept reading it and rereading it going, what is it? What are they trying to tell me? Like, because then it's reflected again in the visor, and you're thinking like, okay, there has to be something here, and maybe it's not for me, maybe it's for old school readers of 2000 AD. But yeah, it definitely, I even thought, maybe the letters, like we're supposed to read them as letters. So, but I couldn't get anything from it. But KMT,
this means something.
Yes, it just really seemed like it did.
If anybody knows what the hell that means and we're too dense to pick up on it, please let us know.
Yeah, man, I don't know. For me, this one just didn't get it. And I liked the past couple Cadet Dredds. I didn't feel like it's always important for me when it feels like, the all ages thing always has to walk that line of all ages can read it, but it's not for little kids. And the only reason it has to, and I like 100% has to ride that line. And I'm not even saying from my perspective, I'm saying just it has to, is because this is being introduced into the subscription of adults who purchase this comic. And the argument cannot be that, well, maybe it's not all adults that purchase this comic, because if that's the case, then why is there an all ages Prog, and why is not every comic an all ages Prog? You see what I'm getting at? So for me, a good Cadet Dredd story has to be accessible to kids, but also has to sort of be able, you have to be able to sort of read it as an adult and get something. And totally doable. And
they've done it before.
Yeah. And we do have someone in the chat who answered. This is what's great. We ask a question and there's people here who know immediately.
They're taking pity on us.
Yes. Douglas Morris in the chat says, according to the old A to Z Judge Dredd book, the lawmaker has a Norton 4000 cc engine.
Well, goddamn, thank you. See, we got an actual answer. So 2 of those could pull back a moped even with all its forward moment, or moped, not a moped, a moped with all its forward momentum.
Yeah, and I have that Dredd A to Z book. I need to pop that thing open and check it out again.
I do wonder if people were thinking that maybe we edited all the bad bits out of our podcast before we posted it. No, it's this. It's just this. You're just hearing it live.
Yeah, at one point there was a little bit more editing, but I think that was because we had a lot more. That was when we were trying to be thoughtful.
Like our episodes were also 3 friggin' hours long. Jesus.
Yeah, well, our last one was an hour long. So,
I mean, we had to talk about Michael Myers. Speaking of which, I did go back and rewatch that twice.
How'd it go?
It's a lot better when you go in knowing it's grindhouse garbage.
Yeah, that's exactly for me. Was like, oh yeah, this is grindhouse garbage, but ooh, I kind of needed this.
so there's that aside.
Yeah.
What did you think of Scooter and Jinx?
Man, Scooter and Jinx for me was, again, as always in the progs, the art is great. Although this is definitely not the art style that I would gravitate towards. It's definitely looks like exactly what you said. It looks like an all ages thing. For me, the story, the characters in this one did not hit for me either. And maybe we're going to get more. But yeah, this one, it definitely felt very all ages-y. And you know what, it would be a really kind of a cool experiment for us to do, and I think we should totally do this, is maybe this would be nice for you as well. When the all ages prog gets ready to hit, you ought to sit down with your kid and be like, hey, let's read this, and you tell me what you thought, because I would love to know what your daughter thought of Scooter and Jinx. I would love to know if she dug this, if she liked the art, if she thought the characters were cool.
You know what? I can make that happen. And we could actually do it next week. I could have her read it and maybe have my daughter on the podcast.
I think we should. Yeah. I want to know what she thinks of Scooter and Jinx.
You want me to book that right now? I'll book that right now. Hold on.
But see if you can call her agent.
Hey, Allie, do you want to be on the podcast? She says yes.
Okay.
So we will read the all ages together this weekend. And then next week, my daughter will make her first appearance on the podcast and give us a child's review of the Prog for children.
I love it. Yeah, because, maybe this is the kind of market research that Tharg needs over there at 2000.
Hold on, I think she just got cold feet. I think and we're live, kiddo. So you're gonna be like, people are gonna listen to you as you're talking, so no pressure.
And they'll judge you.
She's fine with it. She don't care. No, Scooter and Jinx kind of reminded me of like a Nickelodeon cartoon from the mid to late 90s. It kind of felt 90s extreme, that kind of, not like extreme Surge and Mountain Dew extreme, but like Rocket League and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is an old person talking, so be ready, people. But
2 old persons.
You know what I kept thinking when I was reading this? I was like, oh man, this reminds me of Toe Jam and Earl.
Yeah, I could definitely see some Panic on Funkatron here.
I don't know, like, yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting sci-fi story, and I, found myself wondering, like, okay, like, say I'm reading this and the art looked different. If these characters were, let's say you take this story and you put a Proteus Vex skin on it, would I have liked it as much or more? I don't know. But for me, maybe it was just the combination between the story and the art that I just, the two didn't land for me. But I mean, this has further to go, obviously. This is definitely not the ending. This is, sort of like, maybe we'll see these guys again, but There's like an interesting romantic thing element in some ways, or what is it? I don't know. And
I can't see this one making the jump to the standard Prog.
no, I don't think so. I think your average 2000 AD reader would kind of be against it. And I know that because I'm your average 2000 AD reader, and I would be against it.
I can definitely see it being a reoccurring story in the all ages, though, easily.
No, I agree. This is like, and again, it's like nothing that I didn't like it, but it's just like I'm good on this one. That I don't think I would revisit this and would want to revisit this in the standard Prog. All ages Prog, it kind of makes sense. And like I said, I think of everything in this all ages Prog, I feel like this might be the thing that someone like your daughter would prefer over everything else in here.
We will get a full readout next week sometime. So,
yeah.
Moving on, what did you think of Enemy Earth?
I liked Enemy Earth. I'll be honest and say though that overall this all ages Prog was probably among my least favorites that we've read in a while.
I agree. I do.
Yeah, Enemy Earth was cool. It had some cool imagery, but I don't know. I just the biggest pop that I had for this thing was when this giant metal robot sort of wheelie mech thing came out, and at the end of this one, they proclaim instead of the end, the beginning, and so I'm going to assume that we're going to get more of Enemy Earth, and it has a very old school, like 2000 AD vibe. Like this does really, like even the title seems like this is something that you would get when it was actually for kids.
That's kind of the feeling I was getting from it too, was this feels like something that came in the Prog originally back in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, like this, and then after it, like little Jimmy finds a magic cape and it helps him. He's invisible.
Little Jimmy found a murder robot underneath the earth, and now he's got it programmed to murder.
Yeah, this is like I don't know. The all ages Prog is always a tough one, man. It's always a tough sell. But I've been into it lately. This one, just every story, for the most part, as we went through, for me, it was almost like every story I was less into.
Yeah. This one kind of felt like those all ages that we railed against in the early days.
It did, and were we asking for too much for the all ages Progs to be satisfying from cover to cover for adults? Maybe. I've said it at the beginning of this. I will always say I just have a problem with the fact that it's part of the regular subscription. But this time, this is not the first time twisters we've gotten, right?
I don't think so. This one kind of telegraphed the end for me, but it also felt like I read it, but I wasn't reading it,
Yeah.
Like I was reading the words, but nothing was landing. So yeah, there's that.
Yeah, and unfortunately I don't have a lot more to offer other than the fact that it does try to have the old sort of ironic twist to the end of it, and it's got like a little message in there for kids, which probably we have another story about a social media influencer in the regular Prog, which is the Out, and I mean totally lands for us and we love it, and there's cock jokes. This is very much a version of that, but related to a younger generation who might be reading this. So, but this one didn't land with me either. And I had felt the same way. I was like, I'm reading the whole thing, but I think, to be quite honestly, I already just, as soon as I saw it and as soon as I started reading through, I was like, nope, I'm going to hate this. And I was probably biased the whole time going through.
Yeah, I mean, from the first page, once the time travel things is introduced, you can tell where it's going and how it's going to end. And it just, yeah, it's for the all ages Prog. It's not for middle-aged guys doing a desperate attempt at a podcast. So,
and yeah, that's the thing. Like, you know, we could, and I was the same way. I was like, okay, I could see where this is going. If I were a tween, would I have been able to see where this is going? Probably not. And would it have been an oh shit moment for me as a tween? I don't know.
Don't stop saying tween. It's weird.
It's a word.
It. I know, but you're like 48. Don't say that.
I'm not 48, thank you. But people who, you know, adults came up with the term tween.
Yeah, for marketing. But when you say it, I don't like
it. All right.
Hey, all right. So Strontium Doug. Okay. Have you ever read Wuthering Heights?
No. What is Wuthering Heights?
It is an abysmal, depressing, weighty, verbose tome of Victorian literature that I was forced to read in my honors English class in high school. Larger point, there's a butler in this decrepit, dreary story who is Scottish, and he is written in Scottish brogue. So it's damn near impossible to decipher what the hell he's saying. And as soon as I started reading Doug's lines, and I went, oh God, they're all in Doug brogue. And I was struggling at points to like keep pace with what Doug was saying. And I went, oh God damn it, it's Wuthering Heights again.
Yeah, so I did not have that at all. I kind of went into this wanting to love it more than I ended up loving it because I really like the artwork.
Yeah.
And I really like, you know, I like any connection to Strontium Dog. We have some support for Wuthering Heights in the chat saying for the film adaptation though, not the book.
Okay. That book, man. Ugh. I've been out of high school for almost 30 years now, and that moment in my education has stuck with me. It's such a pain in the ass.
Was it as much of a pain in the ass as reading the all ages Prog this week?
It was more so. I could understand clearly all the verbiage in the all ages Prog, but I really, like you, wanted to really, really like Strontium Doug in this, but it's okay. You know, it didn't blow my mind, or it wasn't a Pandora Perfect or Department K, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah, it didn't do it. Did not do it for me.
I can't see. Are you stroking your Fu Manchu?
It doesn't work for me, brother. No, I think it's just been this was a tough one, man. And we've came away with some great stuff that, like, you know, for a while the all ages Prog has been the NXT to 2000 AD's WWE, and we've gotten some great superstars that came up to the main roster, but
who were all just released.
You're right. Yeah.
It's the first one that didn't land for us in like 4. So that's a pretty good ratio.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I think, you know, there was nothing overly like offensive in here in terms of like stuff that I just had a reaction and just, oh my God, I never want to read this again. Like I did with things like Survival Geeks, which wasn't even an all ages thing.
You just hated that out of the building.
I did. Yeah. And I'm not comfortable with hating things in 2000 AD because I really genuinely approach everything I read in 2000 AD. Like if I saw a dog on the street, I would approach it to pet it because I would believe that it was going to be my best friend. I do that with 2000 AD. I want to like it. I want to love every story. I want to go out and tell all of my friends who don't know what 2000 AD is that this is the best thing going. And most of the time, I can do that with 100% certainty. But with the all ages Prog, it's always a crapshoot. And this time didn't land. None of them landed in this one for me.
Yeah, same. I still hold to our usual call that the all ages should be an addendum to the usual weekly prog, like the sci-fi special is, like all the other specials are.
Yeah, I agree. And oh man, I mean, if we're advocating for that, how exciting would it be that, instead of getting a regen prog, we just get, hey, here's a free sci-fi special. I mean, that's the business right there. That's what you want. Hey, sorry, you don't get your 2000 AD this week, but you get Smash. I mean, that's
you just want more claw.
I do. Smash is amazing, and I hope that in the coming year we get another volume. I hope they bring it back at least once a year.
Yeah, that was great. That was one of the good things during the pandemic. We had all those specials, the Shock, the Smash. What was the other one? We had the sci-fi special.
Scream. We had
Misty and Scream. That was great.
Yeah, I mean, even with this prog being not what we were hoping for, still really is the best time to be a 2000 AD fan, because I mean, it's just they are kind of cranking things out, and they're trying every sort of angle to see what works and what doesn't. This one didn't work, but they've got a pretty good track record on the last few, so we'll give them a pass.
Just don't work yourself into a shoot.
And if you want to work yourself into a shoot, next week, maybe, hopefully, maybe next Thursday, we should possibly maybe be live here on Facebook. Not on Facebook. What the fuck are we on? On YouTube. We had no preparation for this live episode. We decided 1 second before
No, we didn't decide. You said, hey, guess what? And I went, what? And you said, change your name. And I said, oh, fuck, what are we doing? And here we are.
Yeah. So maybe we'll be live again, maybe not. We'll see what happens. But if not, we'll see you somewhere. And hey, here we got one. I want to shout out to Andrew Green, who just joined the chat as we're on our way out, who says he tends to stick with graphic novels. And I agree. Sometimes that's the best way to read your 2000 AD. But I think over the pandemic, myself and Cool Johnny Cool got addicted to that weekly thrill power. So we got to subscribe weekly to the 2000 AD. And I just seriously do look forward to every week, because it's like, hey, it's digestible. It's something that jumps, hey, this is my Wednesday, so.
Oh, I mean, I get the prog on Tuesday nights, so it's made my Tuesdays not be crappy.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Hey, we also have, Johnny, just people in the chat chatting it up. And I guess that's a thing. If we're going to go live, we should, reserve the end of our stream for any, any questions or anything people have in the chat, because we try to grab them while we're going. God knows we have no problem going off on a tangent, but
we often raise more questions than we answer.
It's true. But we have, a couple people saying they like the live format. That was Nick, and our friend Paul also asked if we have any live games planned, and now that this is an option, maybe we could. It certainly makes it easier from the standpoint of posting it. That's for sure. A lot of the issue that we've had in the past is getting stuff posted is once we do exactly what we've done live here, then I have to go back and put it into a program and add the music and all that stuff. And man, if we could only find a way to play music live, we would have the world at our fingertips, Johnny.
Well, I mean, you do play live music on that one show you do. So, I mean, I know how to play the bass line to our intro song.
Well, there we go. Maybe that's the option. But maybe this is something we're going to try to do every week. Like I said, we've got some feedback. For those of you that end up finding this after we post it and listening to it, let us know what you think of the live format, because it's likely going to be a thing. And, quite honestly, if it weren't for the fact that when we talked about going strictly live, like, hey, we're just going to do YouTube show and post it because we do get a good amount of traffic here on YouTube. But when we said that before, we had a few people who said like, hey, we really listen on the app at work. And, we're trying to be considerate of the audience that we have because we're so grateful for it. But I can tell you right now, Johnny, it's cool seeing a number of people's names in the chat that I have never heard from on social media or otherwise.
What's really cool, I can't see anything on my end. So
yeah,
I guess since we're here, does anybody in the chat have any questions for HMK and myself before we head out outside of the...
Jim Richardson wants to know, cool Johnny Cool. What happened to your penis?
Get out of here. God, I hate you. Why do I do this to myself every week?
I'll let you answer this one, Johnny. Douglas Morris asks, ever plan to review Mega City Undercover?
Oh, God, we've got all the volumes. I've read them. I don't know if HMK, have you downloaded those yet?
I've not downloaded them. I've not read them. I know that is your bread and butter, really. That's one of your favorite.
I fucking loved it. And you need to read that. Once we get back to where we're doing our CER episodes as well as our weeklies, that was actually the next thing in line to do was Mega City Undercover. But the sand shifted on us and we were not able to get back to it. But yes, Mega City Undercover is on the to-do list.
Yeah. And that really, it's weird how this show kind of turned into something different. Because when we started, we had no plans of covering the weekly prog, even though it was kind of something we were reading. But we instead were going to do, a graphic novel, an episode. And that was the thing I always thought would survive. And then lo and behold, here we are. It's tough sometimes getting the bigger episodes done, but we've managed to get weeklies in, even though sometimes they're late. We have managed to get them in. So I would love to go back to doing, hey, here's an entire graphic novel, like we did with Acropolis, like we did with Inferno and all that stuff. So that was cool. We want to get back to that. But when things got tough during the pandemic, we just tried our best to at least keep something going because we have a few people that listen every week, which is cool. Lots of support for Mega City Undercover. So
yeah, I think I've read 3 times now. So
oh my God.
Oh God, that's how much it wasn't just reading to be up for it for the podcast. I loved it that much.
Yeah. So, that should probably be the thing that we do next when we finally get back to those episodes. There's 3 volumes?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I could probably manage to start working on those here. I don't want to say any specific dates because then we'll just let people down like always.
I was going to say, please don't. You'll break my heart.
So maybe we'll do that. And hey, maybe we'll do it live. Seems like this is pretty easy, so maybe
it's even easier when we don't care.
It is. When we stop caring.
When our podcast got so much better when we stopped giving any fucks.
Yeah. Again, massive support. Everybody loves Mega City Undercover. So there you go. There's our answer. People probably
people have spoken. It's on to you now, HMK. You got to read it.
All right. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to get started. And hey, why not get started now? So let's fucking Undercover. Is that Judge Zero? I don't know. Johnny, is that Judge Zero?
Judge Zero.
Yeah.
I mean, Mega's you got you're good to Lenny Zero. He's in it.
Okay, there you go.
He starts it. The beginning, the first couple stories have a different tone altogether. And then Dirty Frank shows up and fights baby ninjas and manages a rock band. And it's a whole fucking thing. It's wonderful.
Yeah, we have a reverse relationship with Dirty Frank because we discovered him And this is where I always regret that we, weren't reading the weekly when Trifecta was happening, because man, can you imagine what that must have been like? I'm sure people in the chat can imagine because they were probably there. Just the fact that people got to experience Trifecta coming together live. That's amazing.
Without knowing that it was coming together.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of that in that sci-fi special over the summer, where all the stories ended up coming together at the end, but just not as cool because there was no Dirty Frank, and it was about Captain Planet. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah. Well, then we came back to it, and I still didn't care. Hey, Paul in the chat also says he mentioned Inferno says wickedly evil and violent. Well, this, if you haven't listened to that episode, and quite honestly, I don't know if it's disappeared now into eternity from our stuff on Spotify, iTunes. Johnny and I did Inferno for the show, and we actually both kind of came to the conclusion that while it had some cool artwork and some cool ideas, neither one of us felt like Judge Dredd was characterized very well by Grant Morrison, who we're both big fans of. But I had always, walked around thinking oh my God, if we could just get, some Grant Morrison Dredd, I mean, everything would be perfect. And then, here we are, we read Inferno, Grant Morrison Dredd. And I just felt like I'm reading one of my favorite authors doing my favorite character and going this just doesn't feel right. And it was really wicked and evil and violent. You're right. It was just incredibly violent, but there was some level of depth that was missing from Judge Dredd with that whole story arc for me. And
he did things that were very out of character for Joe, as if he was being written by somebody who didn't completely understand the character. Or he did. Yeah, he did. Or maybe it's just that he did things in character that were in character, but his response was out of character. I don't know what. Yeah, there was something. And we said a thing on an episode a year ago.
Yeah, directly related to the drowning of the inmates. Something about the way, the idea of what happened was fine, but something about the way that Grant Morrison handled it. And that's weird for me because I think Grant Morrison's incredible. Grant Morrison changed my love of comics with his Justice League, his JLA run. And, but something about Grant Morrison writing Dredd, man, in the wrong hands, Dredd sucks. In the wrong hands, Dredd is not a great character. You have to have the right people.
Case in point, Stallone Dredd. If ever there was an argument against Stallone Dredd, right there it is.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like everybody that touches the character in the current run, and all the stuff that we're reading, of course we're not reading Magazine, but everybody who touches the character now, I feel like they really have a good handle on Dredd and a good handle on, at least for me, and we're still pretty new to this, even though we've been collectively reading for 35 years or something. You longer than me.
Yeah, but most of my stuff was the really, really old stuff.
Yeah.
So I have an affinity for Elvis the Killer Car and dumb shit like that.
I mean, really, at this point, I think it's for me, even though it's a slippery fucking slope, Rob Williams is good at writing Dredd until he fucks the moon up and drives my co-host crazy.
Don't you get me wound up. That's how we close out 2021. We get Rob Williams on here.
Yeah, I would love to have that conversation. So, hey, who knows? Last year we had a Vexmas miracle. Maybe this year we will too.
Yeah, for every 8 interviews we line up, one actually happens. So,
truth. Ulysses Farines, where are you?
One of these days.
You know how those American comic writers are. It's different.
I can understand how an artist and writer on the up and up, on the come up, maybe wouldn't want to go on the podcast where they shout about dicks all for most of the podcast.
I guess so. And I wish I could say that we were going to turn over a new leaf.
Nope.
Live, since we're going live, but nope. Under that leaf is just another dick.
What a perfect way to end our second live broadcast.
Hey, this is Heavy Metal Kid.
This is Cool Johnny Cool. Thanks for hanging out with us on this train wreck of a live experiment.
Cursed Earth Radio.
That's my line.
No, your line is
Wiener.
Yep. And once again, I have no fucking idea how to close this goddamn live stream. So it's the
You worked yourself into a shoot.
It's the eternal live stream. So that was the perfect thing. Oh, wait, no, wait. Go ahead. Say your line one more time and we'll end it.
Wiener. We're still live.
Oh, God damn it. I just stopped. Oh, say